A clear structure makes your business relevant story easy to follow and increases its impact. One simple, easy to follow structure is the setup, conflict, and resolution model. You can use other terms, you can name it differently. The setup essentially is the background information, the necessary background information that the audience need to know in order to understand what happened. One common mistake of speakers is they spend too much time telling us the background, all the things that happens that lead up to the event. In fact, most audience would only be interested in that particular moment before the unusual thing or the event happened, which leads to your story. Simple element of a setup would be when did it happen, where was it, and who was involved. Let us know who are in the stories, when, and then approximately which location you are at. Just enough information for the audience to build a certain scene, create that imagery in their head, and that would be sufficient. The conflict means something unusual should have happened in that story. It's a story worth telling. If it is business as usual, probably won't create too much excitement. Conflict can be good or bad, it can be ups and downs, dramatic. It means that something is at stake, something is changing, and it should lead to a turning point. In some stories, before we reach the turning point where things change and then go either way, there should be some form of a climax. A climax of a story is the most exciting part that you see in movies, commercials, or the stories that you hear, they're on a cliffhanger. In day-to-day business relevant story, we may or may not have a real climax. There will be a relatively high point in the story, so there must be some form of conflict. The conflict leads up to the turning point, which will lead to the next part. A good storyteller will keep the background information short, but as they are building up that conflict, they tell you the circumstances, the different situation that leads up to the conflict. They will build up curiosity. They will invite you into the picture. These are something to consider as you are building up that conflict. Let the audience feel the intensity of the situation so that when they reach the turning point, they have the sense of satisfaction because you build up that conflict and let us know what was unusual, what was the pain point, what happened, so that we can travel along with you. For example, this is my true story. I woke up in the hotel and I have no idea where I was. I switched on the lights and it is an international hotel chain. I recognize the decoration, but I have no idea which country I was in. And then I open the curtains. It's all dark outside. I have absolutely no idea. I've been traveling to multiple countries in the past week and I had no idea where I was. I need to know which country I was in. As you can see, the conflict build up. I had a problem and it become a bigger problem. And then as the character begin to search for answers, the audience will follow along with them. Then the story should come to a turning point where the storyteller should come to a conclusion, realization, or learn something. And in business storytelling, you want to make sure that your point is transferred across. That learning, that insight, that point of view should be clear to your audience after you've told the story. Because the essence, the reason why you tell the story is you want to make sure that you help to support your point. So it should be clear to the audience that what is the point you're trying to make. Sometimes the same story can be interpreted in multiple ways. Different people can interpret the same story differently. Even you yourself may be able to see the same story from different angles. It is important that after telling your story, you distill the point that you are trying to make into one or two sentences so that the audience can follow what your point is, so that you can move on to the next part of your presentation. In business storytelling, it is essential that we have a clear and simple structure. By following a setup, conflict, and resolution structure, it helps you to engage your audience and increase your impact.